Aloha, everyone. Today we are talking kindness with Dr. Udo Wahn. Dr. Wahn is on the executive committee for Surfrider Foundation San Diego, was trained by former Vice President Al Gore to become a certified climate reality leader. He has written 6 children's books highlighting kindness for nature and the importance of caring for this world while enjoying the ocean playground with friends and family. Dr. Wahn, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Your list of achievements is amazingly long. Was there anything you'd like to add before we go to the questions?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. This is a great topic. Kindness really helps. It's always a good thing to keep in mind. So yeah, I look forward to sharing my thoughts with your viewers.
All right, let's get straight to the questions then. Growing up, I loved your books with the beautiful illustrations and stories that are so full of aloha. Cabo and Coral had some awesome adventures. What made you decide to write children's books?
Well, I never really had thought that I would write children's books. I'm actually a former assistant professor of reproductive medicine at UCSD and Kaiser Permanente. But what happened was when our son was 2.5, he had been taking swimming lessons. And one day my wife was gone, and my son and I, whose name happens to be Paulo Cabo, we were spending the afternoon together, and we decided let's take some blank sheets of paper and do some drawings, some sketches, just for fun, just some coloring. And the first thing I thought was, well, how about we have you and one of your swim mates from swim school? Why don't we have you guys surfing on a wave and having some dolphins on the same wave? Wouldn't that be kind of fun? Because I've been surfing most of my life, and I have a real passion for the ocean and for surfing. So we drew that little picture, and that was really fun. And we had a whole stack of paper. We had plenty of time, so we just kept drawing different pictures. And I thought, well, you know, my son is learning how to swim. At one point, I'd like him to learn how to surf and understand ocean safety, and also to learn how to have surfing etiquette and practice the aloha spirit out in the water. So as we went through, I just kept doing more and more cartoon pictures with 2 characters. It's Cabo, and Coral was a little girl who's in the story. And she was fashioned after my wife, whose name is Aleda. And so it was Cabo and Coral, and we just kept drawing these pictures, and then I wrote down little suggestions about aloha and etiquette along with the pictures, and just kind of put it aside. Well, one day a friend came by, and she looked down at the desk where Pal and I had been doing our drawing, and she saw this and said, what is this about? And I said, oh, these are just some pictures. And she was flipping through those. She goes, boy, this would make a great children's book. And I said, I hadn't really thought of that, but perhaps that's a good idea. Well, then the next thing came to the next thing, and basically had to find an illustrator because our artwork was really pretty rudimentary, although it was kind of fun. It wasn't going to be enough to have a whole children's book. So that's basically how it all began.
Wow, well, that's a great story. These books have touched the hearts of many, and I love to see how many have supported them, including 2 of my favorite surfers, Rob Machado and Sean Thompson, as well as Wyland, who we can thank for all the amazing whaling walls. I love to see that part of the proceeds of these books are donated to support organizations like the Surfrider Foundation, Maddie James Seside Learning Center, and the Helen Woodward Animal Center. Can you share with the audience some of the amazing ways these organizations are showing kindness in the community?
Right. Well, let's start off with the Helen Woodward Animal Center, which is in the Fairbanks Rancho Santa Fe area of northern San Diego. The cool thing about this animal rescue center is the no-kill center. And so that's really a real positive aspect to it. And the other neat thing about it is that every year in September, they have a dog surfing contest at the Del Mar Dog Beach, which is a super fun thing to participate in and enjoy watching the dogs learn how to surf, or competing in surfing, actually, because they've been learning how to surf ever since they're little dogs. So that's been a really fun thing. And actually, one of my books is actually based on that particular surfing event, and that's Cabo and Coral Dog Days of Summer.
Oh, really? That's awesome, actually. I didn't.
And so, and the other thing is that the Maddie James Seside Learning Center is really a cool place up in the San Clemente area. and is part of the Ocean Institute. And they have a lot of educational programs for children where kids can learn about the ocean and also about the environment and conservation.
Wow, that's awesome. I really appreciated the one about the animal center, because it shows that we shouldn't just be kind to other humans, but also to animals. So that definitely shows kindness.
That's right. And then, and I was going to say, in that same vein, the trend now towards eating more plant-based diets is another way of being kind to animals.
Yes.
Right.
I definitely agree with that. I've been a vegetarian for a while now, so I definitely agree with that.
Okay.
As you brought out in the preface of your first book, Aloha Spirit is a value of unconditional love and sharing that is embraced through daily practice. With that in mind, how does kindness fit into educating others about practices that harm our oceans and planet?
Well, to touch on that, I would say that you need to really understand what's going on with our oceans. And one of the things I wrote about in one of my books, Cabo and Coral, Reef Explorers, is the difference between, for example, the ocean waters on the Pacific side of, say, Baja, Mexico. The other side of that peninsula is actually the Sea of Cortez, which is a completely different environment. And so when you learn about differences there and how important that is for humanity, there are a number of protected marine areas, otherwise known as MPAs, that are set aside so that different species can live in those particular rocky reefs or coral reefs, what have you, and allowed to grow and to flourish without having fishermen take the fish and what have you. So this is basically a way of being kind to the sea and the animals within it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Your books have helped educate many kids my age and older. What do you think the next steps are for us to promote kindness and educating others?
Well, I think one of the ways you can be kind is to volunteer for helping the homeless. You can volunteer with programs like Surfrider Foundation that does beach cleanups. And not only that, I mean, that's what most people know Surfrider Foundation for, but they have a lot of different programs, some of which deal with things like climate change, coastal protection, sewage spills that may be occurring. In San Diego, for example, we have some sewage spills at the border between Mexico and San Diego. And Surfrider is very involved in helping to remedy the problem there, along with the US government.
My last question for you is, can you tell us what you are doing these days and how we can follow along with what you're up to?
Right. So like many people, social media is one way that you can find me. I'm not super active on social media, but I do have a Facebook account, so I do some things there. I'm also a Google local guide, and so whenever I'm going out to a different place, a different restaurant or different city, I'll oftentimes post a review on that, either the city or the restaurants that are there. The other thing I do, I'm very involved with Surfrider Foundation as the vice chair of our San Diego chapter. And so I get involved with all the different programs that we have, and there are probably 9 different programs. I mentioned a couple, like the border water issue, beach preservation, climate change. We also have one, ocean-friendly restaurants, where we encourage restaurants and actually certify them to not give out a bunch of plastic items. So using reusable utensils, for example, just one example. So that's pretty much what I'm up to. I'm also, one other thing is right now, I'm also on the City of Del Mar's Lagoon Committee. We have the San Diego Lagoon, which is one of the lagoons in San Diego County that is a beautiful watershed and really needs to be protected. And so part of what I do there is get involved with that. The Lagoon Committee, along with Surfrider and our climate change, we are involved with diving more deeply into the blue carbon issue. I'm not sure if your listeners know about blue carbon, but basically it has to do with the plants that are in the estuaries, for example, for around our area, be like seagrass. Other places might be mangroves. Well, these types of vegetation, they sequester or take up a lot of carbon and store it in the soil below that. And it's actually even more effective than tropical rainforests, about 10 times more effective. So blue carbon is something that is really being brought to the forefront right now in a lot of the political conversations. And we here in Del Mar and in San Diego are very much involved with the blue carbon issue and trying to help restore some of the lagoons by planting more plants that are blue carbon friendly in terms of sequestering carbon. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Wahn, I really enjoyed talking kindness with you. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me and being such a great example of kindness. And for all of you watching, thank you for your interest in this kindness series, and make sure that you be kind with every chance you get.
Thanks again.
Hey guys, check out the description below for more information on the organizations that Dr. Wahn mentioned, blue carbon, and other ways that we can be kind to this planet. Click here for more Talking Kindness videos, and if you like what you see, I'd love for you to subscribe and share with your friends. Aloha and malama pono.